G'day folks, and welcome back to the Full Drive Adventure Show. In this episode we take you to a bucket list destination, the Simpson Desert. But before that, the amazing story of 22 Jimnys, Suzuki Jimnys, taking on the Gun Barrel Highway on a punishing adventure. We are just inside the Northern Territory. We're actually not far from Uluru, and I've just come across Tony, who's been travelling with 22 other Jimnys, or 22 Jimnys in total.
That's right, Ronnie. So this trip that we put together before we left Perth was done by Wildtrak Leisure Australia. And the idea was 22 Jimnys, all done out relatively the same, and 38 adventure seekers heading across the Gun Barrel Highway from Perth all the way to here we are in Uluru, Uluru.
Mate, it's a hell of a convoy you guys got there.
Look, it was a pretty tough trip overall, lots of awesome scenery. The hardest part by far was the Gun Barrel Highway itself. The corrugations really shook the cars up a fair bit, but the little Jimnys, they soaked it up, mate. They were really loving it, and they did a fantastic job.
So how many days have you been going for?
So 8 days, 7 nights, and tell you what, we're a little bit tired, but we had a great time.
So what was the biggest challenge apart from the Gun Barrel Highway?
The biggest challenge, I think, was actually having the 22 Jimnys together, and managing a large convoy like that was logistically a little bit challenging. However, we managed to work out something that was quite good. We had a front group that used to zip along to the next campsite, the Champagne crowd, and they would get there and set up camp for us, and then they would wait for the next lot of guys to come through. And then we had the support vehicles, which are a couple of F trucks and a couple of Rangers that would support on in the rear echelon there. It was really quite good.
So I understand you all came from Perth and you all congregated at Bakers Hill, just outside Perth?
That's right, the Bakers Hill Pie Shop, and we used that as a bit of a ceremonial staging point to crack on with the trip. After that we headed north towards Bullfinch, and that was our first night of camp. And I tell you what, mate, that first night in the morning was absolutely freezing. There was icicles absolutely everywhere, but we cracked on from there towards Sandstone, and we were seeing some absolutely beautiful canola fields all the way through. And as you went further north, you could see that terrain changing a hell of a lot, and that was really interesting to see. After we hit Sandstone, we tried to get some fuel there, but unfortunately that was a little bit of a hiccup. They couldn't get the Bowser working for us.
No way.
Luckily we found the pub across the road, so we had a quick top up there before we then cruised on through to Uluru, and that's where we got our first lot of fuel. But that's where we started the Gun Barrel Highway proper, and at the end of the Gun Barrel Highway section of that day we were at Carnegie Station. So we've finally arrived at Carnegie Station, and I'm here with Brendan, the station manager. Brendan, great to see you, mate.
No worries.
So can you tell me a little bit about Carnegie Station?
Carnegie Station is 340 k's northeast of Uluru in the Northern Goldfields region. We run roughly 5,000 head on 1.2 million acres here. That keeps us busy. We're mustering at the moment, or starting in the next couple of days. And yeah, that keeps us busy for a couple of months.
Fantastic. Now, this is also a stop for tourists like myself coming through with some groups. Now, is this the largest group you've had come through for a little while?
It's up there, yeah. It's we've had big groups, but this is definitely up there.
Yeah, fantastic. And what do you reckon of all the Jimnys coming through?
It's pretty cool because we used to muster with some little Suzukis, so these ones are a bit flashier than ours, but they're bloody good.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to dinner tonight, and hopefully I'll get inside and have a beer with you after.
Sounds good to me.
Well, Carnegie Station, that looked awesome, mate. I understand that the Shire maintenance of the road ends somewhere around there, so it got pretty rough.
That's exactly right, Ronnie. So basically 180 k's out of Carnegie Station, the Shire of Uluru stops maintaining the Gun Barrel Highway because it's used by station owners and also mining trucks. But beyond that, that's where the real adventure starts to begin. It gets rough as hell out there, mate, and they were shaking the little Jimnys to pieces, but they managed to make it all the way through. From that spot, we went all the way through to Geraldton Bore to get some fresh water, and they've even got a little AFL field out there.
AFL?
That's right, mate.
A full oval?
It's pretty much a full oval with a couple of goals at one end. It seems.
Goalposts and everything?
Yeah, mate, yeah. So it looks like a couple of moons ago, the station owners got together, carved out a little AFL field, and we stopped there for a bit of a kick.
So who was best on ground?
I reckon it might have been Troy. He accidentally elbowed one of the other guys in the mouth halfway through that one. So
I got serious.
Yeah, a little bit of I think Troy's a little bit over competitive sometimes, but the blood rule was brought out. After we left the AFL field, it was onto Mount Bedell. Now this is absolutely stunning, mate, and that's where Len Bedell Thalidomide Memorial is up on the peak there. It's absolutely amazing. Now Mount Bedell is so named after Len Bedell, widely regarded as the last true Australian explorer, and it's because of the decades of hard work from Len we actually have the Gun Barrel Highway here.
Those Jimnys that are right, eh?
Mate, they are little mountain goats, and all of them managed to make it up to the top of Mount Bedell there for a fantastic view.
Now, Len Bedell's got a good sense of humour, hasn't he? Highway.
Highway. I wouldn't call it a highway in the great sense that we've got a highway. However, it's more of a really dusty, hardcore track, and it cuts all the way through. It's about 1,500 k's in total length, mate, so it's a fair trek.
Yeah, he's done a few fair highways out there. Highways
for sure.
What about the support vehicles? How'd the big F trucks go, mate?
Look, they managed to get through the Gun Barrel Highway. However, it wasn't long after that Mount Bedell spot that we had a little bit of an issue with the hitch on one of the F trucks breaking. So that caused all kinds of dramas.
Wow, well, that's a sign of a rough road with a hitch failing.
Mate, it snapped in two. It was a huge day.
Wow.
Basically, the gun barrel's taking another victim and just putting it through absolute hell.
Well, that's just a slight issue, isn't it?
Unfortunately, mate, that's the reality of a tough track like the Gun Barrel Highway. You're going to get some breakdowns.
That's it. Well, it's not really an adventure without something going wrong, right?
That's all part of the fun, isn't it?
It's all part of the fun. So speaking of fuel, how far was your range, and more importantly, how much were you paying out there?
So by the time we got to Warburton, mate, it was about $3 a litre. And, you know, look, that's the name of the game out there. It's going to be expensive. We were getting roughly 700 to 750 k's out of the tank. Most of them had a extended range fuel tank on the Jimny, which was fantastic, and we also were carrying some extra fuel on the roof. But while we were in Warburton, we managed to get a part flown in and save that F truck.
You flew a part into Warburton?
That's correct.
I'd imagine that would not have been a cheap exercise.
I didn't pay for it, so I'm glad that didn't happen, but it was the best way that we could get that F truck out of its situation and then onto the road again. So after the Gun Barrel Highway, it was onto the Heather Highway and then the Great Central, where we zipped along and for our final night camp just before we got to Uluru today.
Well, Tony, that sounds like one heck of an adventure through the desert, mate. So apart from, you know, your EPIRB and your sat phone, what would you like to give advice to our audience of what they should do before a big desert trip like this?
Well, the main thing is preparation, Ronnie. You need to make sure your water and your food are tip-top to go and that your vehicle is ready to rumble, because the Gun Barrel Highway is tough, but it is a great opportunity to see the centre of our great country.
All right, folks, that's the end of one epic adventure, and it's just the start of another epic adventure. Mate, I'm going to let you go because we're going to hit up the Simpson Desert pretty much right now.
Well, good luck and safe driving, Ronnie.
Thanks, mate. See you then.
Enjoy.